Hey friends, happy Monday and welcome back to another week of What's for Dinner. If you're new here, hello and welcome. I'm Taylor. I'm a stay-at-home wife and mom, and I share What's for Dinner videos just like this every Monday to hopefully give you some new meal ideas and motivate you to cook for your family. So this week I didn't really make anything new, but I did make quite a few things that I have made before that my family really enjoys. So let's go ahead and get into this week's What's for Dinner. We started off the week with just some simple spaghetti. We've got ground beef, our favorite marinara sauce from Aldi, regular spaghetti noodles, and then some steamed broccoli on the side. And of course, everything covered with some Parmesan cheese. Then Saturday night, I forgot to film anything. We actually didn't make dinner that night. I had some little mini deep dish pizzas in the freezer that you saw if you saw the recent Aldi haul. We ended up eating those like as a quick little dinner, like really late because we had a late lunch. So then we ended up having a late little dinner. Sunday night, I made some sheet pan potatoes. I was going to do the pork chops with this, but I ended up cutting up 3 potatoes, and it was a lot, and it covered the entire sheet pan. And so I ended up just doing the potatoes on their own in the oven, and then I'm going to do the pork chops in the air fryer. But for the potatoes, once I got them cubed up and in a bowl, I seasoned them all over with a ranch seasoning packet, some garlic salt, paprika, onion powder, and pepper, and a little bit of olive oil. I made sure that those were coated really well, and then I put them on a foil lined sheet pan and popped those in the oven on 425 for about 40 minutes until they were soft and also crispy. Then I've got my pork chops here. I bought bone-in pork chops at Aldi because they were cheaper, and I didn't want the bone though. So I took my kitchen shears and just cut the little pork chop part out and left the bone in the package and threw that away. And then I'm going to season my pork chops all over with some garlic salt, paprika, onion powder, pepper, and then I also did a little bit of Cajun seasoning and some olive oil, and then made sure those were coated really well and put these on the air fryer basket. And I put them in the air fryer on 375 for about 15 minutes because these weren't too thick. And I did flip them halfway through, so like the 7-minute mark, I flipped them halfway. So here is how everything came out. We've got our pork chops and then our roasted potatoes. And then to go with this, I made a can of green beans on the stove. And this is everything plated up. Monday night was white people taco night. Just some ground beef tacos, hard shells. I cut up some lettuce. We had Taco Bell mild sauce, some sour cream, tomatoes, cheese, of course, and then I made a package of rice, and I ate 3 tacos, but the kids and Andy all had a couple tacos and rice as well. Tuesday night, we had hot honey chicken sandwiches. I make these in the crock pot. This has probably been a favorite for like 2 years now since I first saw the recipe on Instagram. It will be linked down below, but I'm starting off here with just 2 chicken breasts in the crock pot. You can definitely use up to like 4 if you want, but I prefer to do 2 most of the time. I like it pretty saucy. And then I'm adding in 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar, about 1.5 cups of your favorite barbecue sauce, 3 tablespoons of some Mike's Hot Honey or whatever brand hot honey you prefer, a few splashes of some Worcestershire sauce, a little bit of paprika, and some salt and pepper. And then I just put a lid on this and let it cook on low for like 4 hours is really all it needs. You could cook it on high for as little as 2 if you want it done like really fast. Then when it's done, all you have to do is go in and shred up that chicken, and then I just let it sit until I'm ready to serve up dinner. I have a sheet pan here, and I'm going to line it up with the bread that I'm using. I like to use ciabatta bread. I usually buy it on markdown and have some in the freezer for whenever I want to make this meal. So I had pulled these out earlier in the day and let them thaw, and now I'm just separating them. The original recipe says to do like open face sandwiches. Some of us wanted open face, some of us wanted like regular sandwiches. So I'm just piling the chicken on, some of them on half the sandwich, some of them on the top and the bottom. just depending on what everybody wanted. And I ended up having enough chicken to make 3 like regular sandwiches and 3 like open face sandwiches. So lots and lots of food. We had plenty of leftovers for lunch the next day as well. Once you get the chicken on there, then I just topped all the meat with some shredded cheddar cheese and then stuck this in the oven on 425 for about 5 minutes so the cheese could melt and the bread could get a little bit toasty. Then to serve this up, we just did a salad on the side. As I said, it's been a favorite for like 2 years. It is delicious, just like a little bit spicy, not too much in our opinion. It's like sweet and spicy, and we just really love them. Wednesday night, I made some beef stew in the crock pot. So I'm starting off by adding in all of my cut up veggies that I had prepped. I did about a pound of potatoes. I did russet potatoes, which we'll talk about that later, but I cut them into like big chunks. I did 4 carrots that I cut into like bite-sized pieces, 3 stalks of celery chopped up, and about 6 cloves of minced garlic. Then I am adding in my stew meat. This was about 1.5 pounds of beef stew meat. I did 1 can of tomato paste, about a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, some salt and pepper, and 3 bay leaves. And then I'm adding in 3 cups of water and then some Knorr beef bouillon powder to turn that into beef broth. And then I gave everything a good mix. Put the lid on this and let it cook on low for 8 to 10 hours. At the end of the cook time, I went in and gave it a good stir and then checked to make sure that my potatoes were tender and my carrots were tender, and they were. So then I added in some cornstarch that I mixed with water. I did 2 tablespoons of cold water mixed with 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Mix that in and just let it sit while I made some rice on the side because I wanted to serve this over some rice. And that cornstarch just helped thicken up the broth just a little bit. And I wanted to talk about this. This was delicious, but the recipe did recommend using gold potatoes, which I love gold potatoes. I love red potatoes. I love the little baby potatoes. I used to love all potatoes, including russet potatoes. But I don't know if it's just a problem lately, like with russet potatoes, or it's like my taste buds, because the kids say the same thing. No matter how well I scrub the russet potatoes, they still just taste like dirt. Like even cooked in all the seasoning and stuff, they just had a very earthy, dirty taste to them. And it tasted that way when I used them in every recipe this week. I don't know why, but yeah, we don't like russet potatoes, I guess, anymore. What do you guys think? Is that just how russet potatoes taste and my taste buds have just gotten used to the yellow ones and I prefer like the yellow and red ones more, or are russet potatoes just tasting extra earthy lately? And finally, the last meal of the week was shepherd's pie. We love this recipe for shepherd's pie. I will have it linked down below. In the recipe that I'm linking, she uses ground beef, which is not technically shepherd's pie. That's cottage pie, I'm pretty sure. And shepherd's pie is made with ground lamb. So I have heated up a little bit of oil, and I'm going to start cooking up some ground lamb with a little bit of salt and pepper. Once the ground lamb is probably about halfway cooked, and then I add in 1 diced onion and a little bit of minced garlic and let that continue to cook until the lamb is fully cooked through and my onion is tender. Then I add in about 1/2 teaspoon of red pepper flakes, 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, 1 package of Lipton onion soup mix, 1 cup of beef broth, and 1 can of mixed vegetables that I have drained. The mixed vegetables is something that I change about the recipe. It calls for 2 cups of frozen veggies, but we just don't really care for the frozen veggies in this. I don't exactly know why, because we like it in my fried rice, but I made it with this one time and we just prefer the canned in this. And then I just let that simmer on low heat until I am ready to top it with mashed potatoes. Once I'm ready to top with my mashed potatoes, I also started adding cheddar cheese to the top of this because my family wanted it to be more cheesy. So add a little bit of cheddar cheese, and then I'm adding on my mashed potatoes. The recipe I'm going to link down below has a full recipe for how to make the mashed potatoes. I do them my way though, in the Instant Pot, the same way I always make mashed potatoes, and the only thing I do differently is add in some Parmesan cheese. I actually had leftover mashed potatoes in my freezer though, so I thawed those out and then heated them up on the stove and just stirred in some Parmesan cheese, and then I put them on top of the shepherd's pie. I use a fork to kind of give it some groove so it can get nice and browned, and then this went in the oven on 350 for 45 minutes. This is not the most appetizing looking thing, but it is delicious. We love lamb in this. We eat it in this and like a lamb and vegetable soup, which I really want to make really soon. Once it really starts to cool off here, it's like cool and then hot and then cool and then hot. We're on a couple cool days, but it's supposed to warm up again and be like 80 degrees by the end of the week, which is very annoying. I just want it to cool off and stay cool. But that is going to be it for this week's What's for Dinner. I hope that y'all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you leave me a thumbs up and a comment down below to let me know if you plan on trying any of these recipes, and also leave a smiley face in your comment to let me know that you made it here all the way to the end. I hope y'all have a great week, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.